Live from the Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Glasgow Wants to Know. With your host, Mr. Uhel Barrickman.
Welcome to another Glasgow Wants to Know. We are favored tonight by having as our guest the Mayor of Glasgow, Mayor Honeycutt, and the County Judge Executive of Barron County, Judge Dickerson. I'll start the questioning, and I'll let whichever one of you wants to tackle it first by asking about the juvenile, the prospects and what's going on about getting a juvenile detention center.
Well, Mr. Barrickman, I suppose I'd probably better field that one first, and the Mayor, I'm sure, will want to comment in a moment. The responsibility for the housing of prisoners throughout Kentucky lies with the county. So Barron County Fiscal Court has in the past few months agreed to seek a contract with a firm to provide architectural or master planning work to construct and operate a juvenile detention center here in Barron County. We hope to have a recommendation for the court with regard to that contract by March the 29th at our regular meeting. We hope, or we're very hopeful, that we'll be able to proceed with this project. The juvenile crime rate in Barron County is rising. Judge Ropp in the district court and his predecessor, Judge Dickerson, have both assured me and the fiscal court that Barron County does need a facility such as the one we're considering. And in conversations with other county officials in the Brad area and even counties outside the Barron River Area Development District area, we do need, I believe, a juvenile detention center. I think that Barron County's situated ideally to have one. So in the next few weeks we'll probably have more information. Hopefully we'll have a master plan in hand by the beginning of summer, and then we'll be able to proceed with the construction of that project based, of course, upon the final decision of Barron Fiscal Court.
What's the basis for the justification of having a center here?
Well, primarily we have, in the conversations we've had with members of the judiciary, we have a need for a center to provide not only housing for juveniles who are in the system now that we're transporting to other areas across the state, but we also believe through those same conversations that the provision of a juvenile center or a lockup for juvenile offenders would give us a little greater deterrent for juvenile crime than we have now. We have some cases and have had cases in Barron County and some of the surrounding counties where juveniles have committed crimes, not of a violent nature necessarily, but crimes that would cause them to be incarcerated, and in some cases we've had to turn the juveniles loose back into the neighborhood, and there seems to be in some cases total lack of respect for the law, for the property of individuals. And so not only do we need the center to house the children that we have in the system now, but also to provide, we think, a sufficient deterrent to additional juvenile crime.
Explain a little bit why you've had to turn them back into the neighborhood.
Well,
I think it'd be well to go back to the basic about the Kentucky law and what requires them to be separated and how you have to transport them and what the cost is.
Okay. As I said in the first comment about the reasons for the center, the counties are responsible for the operation of jails throughout the state of Kentucky. With regard to juveniles, we're required by state and federal law to keep juvenile offenders out of sight and sound of the adult jail population. That means that a juvenile offender can neither see nor hear any member of the adult population at the Barron County Correction Center, for example. So we have to keep the two separate. There can be no contact of any sort, not even incidental contact. That causes a great hardship for a community like ours in that we have a facility that's a reasonably new facility that could house juveniles, but because of a rule that I think's a bit arbitrary, we're required to house juveniles in a different setting. There are only a few facilities in the state of Kentucky that comply with these regulations, and those are fairly far-flung. We've had to transport juveniles in Barron County as far away as Prestonsburg and Floyd County, to northern Kentucky, to Covington. When we've had good fortune to be able to find a juvenile bed as close as Warren County, then of course we take that opportunity and we try to house our juveniles close to home. That's not always the case, though, because there's demand throughout the state of Kentucky for juvenile bed space, because juvenile crime is on the rise throughout the state. Transportation-wise, we send a sheriff's deputy with a juvenile offender to a facility that could be as far away as Prestonsburg for a one-night stay, and in some cases have transported the juvenile to Prestonsburg one day, traveled with them back to Glasgow the next day, and then back to Prestonsburg the following day. So there's a logistical problem as well as just a simple lack of space to house these juvenile offenders.
There is some talk, not only here in Kentucky, but around the nation, to lower the juvenile age from 18 to 16. Mayor Honeycutt, do you think that would help the situation?
Well, naturally it would help in the fact that more juveniles would be tried as adults and could be maybe housed a little differently. I think it would be a deterrent to some of the juvenile crime and vandalism and things like that take place now, because juveniles feel like that they are exempt from the law. The law doesn't apply to them. They've learned that they can get away with so many things. They really don't realize that the law does apply to them, and it's because of these cramped spaces and other things that we are hindered from enforcing even the law that exists. I think the law that exists needs not only an age change, but a different philosophy. Right now, the philosophy of juvenile law is everything is geared towards the good of the child, and that's fine as far as it goes, but it needs to also say for the good of the child and for the protection of the community. Some of these children are turned back loose again and do turn right around and do the same things over again when they should not be. They are a danger to some of the elderly people. They're a danger to the communities and neighborhoods in which they live. They're a danger to each other, and some are even a danger to their parents. And so they have to be treated as that, as a danger to the community and to other people, and not just treated as a child that we have to do something good for all the time.
Some are advocating that they lower the age for trying them as an adult to 14. Do you hear anything about that? Or
I hadn't heard that. I think that may be a little bit too low. I'm not sure a 14-year-old has got the responsibility that he could be tried as an adult unless it's a capital offense. And if it's a capital offense, I'm sure just about any age knows that hurting or destroying another life is wrong. No matter what age you are, it doesn't take you too long to learn that. And but I would be very hesitant about lowering it to 14.
Direct this to both of you, and whichever one wants to start, because I know it exists in both areas. Drug problems, are they getting worse or are they getting better in both the county and the city?
Let me just say that it changes from year to year. The type of drugs used, I believe now, is more serious than it used to be. I mean, the type of drug is a more dangerous type drug than what was popular with juveniles a few years ago. Now, adults have always used fairly strong drugs, but I think that's true of the adult population too, that and I guess that's a history of the drug problem, that they usually start out with something fairly weak, and then after a while they look for new experiences and new thrills, so they go to something stronger and stronger and stronger until they really do serious, very serious damage to themselves and to others. And when they get so involved with drugs that they no longer think can concentrate and think straight, then they'll do anything for them. They'll steal for money to buy drugs. They'll kill for money to buy drugs.
You think the problem's getting worse, Judge, in the county and
well,
as a whole?
Mr. Barrickman, if we define drugs, if the definition's all inclusive, if we include the use or the abuse, I suppose, of alcohol as well as the use of illegal drugs, then we probably do have a situation that's on the increase in our community. I don't have any personal knowledge of the younger population or the youthful population or the adults for that matter, the expanded use of either illegal alcohol or illegal drugs, other illegal drugs. So I assume though, from what I hear and from what I gather, that there is a greater incidence of driving under the influence, a greater incidence of public intoxication, and these sort of, well, of course, DUI is not a misdemeanor now, but the public drunk, the DUI offenders seem to be on the uptick. I know that we hear a lot about different drug task force arrests and indictments, and so there is it appears to be that there is an increase in the use of drugs throughout the community. One of the things that we can do to combat that is to continue to educate our population and to let them know that there are penalties for the abuse of the use of illegal drugs and the abuse of those same drugs. In addition to that, though, I think we do ourselves a disservice by not providing a sufficient deterrent through punishment to let these folks know that there is going to be a day of reckoning, I suppose, if you'll allow me to use that term, for the illegal, not only the use, but not only the sale of the drugs, but also the use of those. And it seems a lot of times that we consider people that use illegal drugs or that abuse alcohol and other drugs that might be legal by prescription or for whatever reason, that we want them to think that they're victims, and they are victims of themselves, of their own actions. So I think we need to educate, but then I think we also need to let people know that there will be a day of reckoning or a day of punishment, if you will, for the use and abuse of drugs, whether they be alcohol or illegal drugs.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, there's no rehabilitation center in the county or the city. Should we have a drug rehabilitation center in Barron County?
We have.
I'd hate to try to have to pay for one.
Well,
So
I don't care.
I can't, Mr. Barrickman. I'll have to plead ignorance on that one.
Of course, there's one or two in Bowling Green, I know, and there's one in LaRue County, but as far as I know, there's no rehabilitation drug center in Barron County.
Not as such.
No.
I think you're correct.
Right.
I don't believe
You're
there
right.
is.
There is some counseling available here, but no rehabilitation center. Nothing to house people that really have to be separated.
Should we have one?
I'm not sure what the incidence of that is. I know that there's a great need for counseling, but I think there's a great need for continued emphasis on it in schools, prevention, and I just recently heard some news that's distressing to me that State Department of Education may do away with funds for things like the DOGS program. And I think that's a very important program. We have the DARE program and the DOGS program, and they run hand in hand. One doesn't replace the other. And I have heard there's a serious possibility that some of those funds may be done away with. And I would certainly hate to see that.
Some communities in the state, as well as out of the state, have adopted curfew laws as far as juveniles are concerned. Has there been any consideration on the part of either the fiscal court or the council of the city or the judge or the mayor of adopting a curfew law in Barron County?
There has not been consideration by fiscal court. I think the mayor wants to speak to that in just a moment. I'm not sure that a curfew law in Barron County would be of a great deal of assistance to us. The folks that are going to violate the curfew will violate it whether it's in place or whether it's not. I know the mayor's given more consideration to that, and I probably should be quiet and let him answer now.
Well, let me just say that I'm chairman of a state legislative committee made up of mayors of about, well, it's Kentucky League of Cities, about 330 cities belong to this league, and we have a legislative committee, and I have to be chairman of that. And one of the prime considerations and concerns of mayors throughout the state is juvenile crime. And one of the things that we are especially asking for is the right to have curfew laws. Now, some cities in the state have gone ahead and established curfew laws, and at one time there was a curfew law in Glasgow. But most people believe under present law that that's probably unconstitutional, state constitution and maybe even the federal. And I think what we in the Kentucky League of Cities are working for is to get the state legislature to pass some enacting legislation that would make it legal for us to establish curfew laws. And we think it would be a help. We think there are far too many young people out roaming around in their automobiles at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and their parents naturally have no control over them. Nobody has any control over them. And it's a great temptation for them to get in some kind of a problem because there's not too much other activity they can get into at that hour of the morning. So I do think curfew laws are a help, and they're not the entire answer, but they are a help.
There's an effort being made in Washington now to eliminate the funds for work programs for young people during the summer months, as I understand it. That effort is being made. In the event that that effort is successful, have either of you thought of any program that might help keep young people occupied and out of trouble during the summer?
If we get to the point where we have make-work programs that are coming down to the states or to the local governments from Washington, if those are available and they are subsequently eliminated, then one of the things that I think we could do would be to begin to lobby the General Assembly in Kentucky or to lobby the Congress to allow some sort of training program through private enterprise to put younger people to work if that's their desire to go to work. I'll only speak from a personal perspective. I have a 14-year-old son who would like to work, or he'll be 14 next month, who'd like to work. His age prohibits him from doing that in a number of places. He can do some farm work and this sort of thing, but he can't get a regular part-time job, as it were, because of his age and the problems with workers' comp and other insurance and liability matters. We might ask our representatives to consider a move to allow, with parental consent, children that want to work to take some sort of work and to keep themselves occupied. Failing that, in the area of recreation, I don't want to speak for the mayor because he's quite able to do that for himself, but the city of Glasgow has a marvelous parks program where we have opportunities for children to participate in recreation. We have had discussions in the past few months about a county recreation program and a county park system. Of course, one of the considerations that we'll have to remember is the programs aren't free. We have to figure out a way to pay for them. So we have to weigh the benefits to the community against the cost to the taxpayers and then try to make a rational decision that would provide some sort of program that would be affordable and at the same time effective. So other than to just scratch the very surface of this situation, the county hasn't done any specific discussion on programs for our youth. We do have plans in April to attend a county's Responding to Youth program in Kentucky Dam Village, where we will receive, I and members of my staff, members of the Glasgow Board of Education, some people from Barron County School System, from the Glasgow Recreation Department will attend a seminar at Kentucky Dam Village to recognize the resources that we have in the community available to us now that would require no additional cost, that would allow us to come up with specific programs for teenagers. Counties Responding to Youth, it's called the CRY program. Hopefully we'll come back with some ideas to use those things that we already have to work with our youth and to provide opportunities for them, not only for recreation but also for work or community service.
Mayor?
I'd just like to say that, of course, there are some school-to-work programs in existence that are a help, but I would like to see something like a vocational training program for summer and for youth to learn more about how to support themselves in adult life. I'd like to see some courses taught in the summertime, and I think state and federal government could think very seriously about that, teaching fundamentals of electricity, carpentry, plumbing, woodworking, so many things that there's a demand for. Automotive.
Electronics.
Yeah, electronics. There are so many things that there's demand for, and it does not take a college education to be trained for it, but it does take some training, and if they wait until they're of an age where they're trying to support a family and still trying to get that training, it's going to be a great hardship. But if they could start with some sort of a summer vocational program, I just think that would be great and would help them keep occupied constructively during the summer as well as preparing them for the future. Welfare is going to be reformed. There are people in our society that don't want to work, that they want to sit at home and draw welfare. And they can probably make more that way than they can working with a low-paying or minimum wage, close to minimum wage job. But I don't think that's going to continue. Congress says it's not going to continue, and we've heard statements made by state legislatures that it's not going to continue. That program is going to change. Welfare is going to be reformed, and there's going to be a limit as to how long people can stay on welfare. They need to prepare for a working future, not a welfare future.
Would a effort, or should an effort be made to get the industries here in town to more or less sponsor vocational programs in the summer months to train teenagers and so forth in these fields that you just mentioned?
It appears to me that we've come around to the point that we may be advocating some sort of apprenticeship program with local industries. I know that in my past experience in manufacturing, that there's a large demand at our level for people with vocational skills that they can acquire through their early years and their skills that they just refine with practice. It appears that we may have hit upon something here, an apprenticeship program that could be used at the local level, but here again we have to have some, I guess, relief from state and even maybe federal laws to enact a program like this. We might not have to, but with the cooperation of private industry, with the cooperation of government at all three levels, then we might be able to come up with a summer apprenticeship program to help children that don't really have a desire to go to college. They think they might want to go to college, and during those summer years, rather than just be out and about town, they might spend those days better through the summer months working at a trade as an apprentice to make a few dollars, and then to decide, well, I really don't like working in one particular area, so I'm going to hit the books a little harder and finish high school, go to college, and enter a profession. So I don't know. Maybe we need to offer them other alternatives. If we could do that in cooperation with the three levels of government, private enterprise, then we might come up with some of the answers that the children themselves are seeking.
I think that's a good idea. It's one of the reasons I brought the subject up, to get some discussion about it. Excuse me.
I don't know what legislative hoops we'd have to jump through. I think it would be something worth bringing up with our state senator and state representative locally, and then with our congressman and the two senators that represent us here in Barron County, and maybe get their thoughts on the thing. They may have some ideas toward a bill that they might pre-file for the General Assembly, or a House or Senate bill in the Congress that would allow us to make these programs available, or an apprenticeship available to these kids. Tonight may be a good place to start.
As has already been stated here, Glasgow is noted for its good park system, particularly for a town of its size. But I continuously hear complaints from teenagers that there's nothing to do in Glasgow at night. Of course, we do have a skating rink, but everybody doesn't like that. We've got a Y, but apparently there's some people that don't want to go to the Y. The question is, should the city and the county, either together or one or the other, try to arrange some type of recreational facility and programs for teenagers at night? Mayor?
There's not as much to do in a small town in the evening as there is in a city. We do not have a large youth center that stays open until midnight. But I can say one thing: there's a lot more to do at night in Glasgow than there was when I was a teenager in Glasgow. I can recall spending a lot of evenings playing croquet, going to movies, and we didn't have a skating rink. We had one that would move in once in a while in the summer and set up in a tent with a wooden floor. But the problem with most teenagers that I encounter, they have definite ideas about what they want. And what they want is a place where they can, like a large parking lot or something, where they can park and talk and socialize and be in their automobiles and be more or less unsupervised. And that's hard to arrange. It's been tried. It was tried out on the parking lot out there where the giant flea market is now. And when it was first tried, the police would go through looking at things, and it looked like everything was going pretty good. And until a certain hour when they all had to leave. And then when you looked at all the beer bottles and beer cans and whiskey bottles and things that were left on the parking lot, you know that a lot of things have been going on with teenagers that shouldn't have been going on with teenagers. And a lot of them probably left there in a state that they shouldn't have been driving. And it's hard to find a place where people can do anything they want to do. Teenagers can't do that. They're not ready yet to be adults and have complete freedom to do whatever they want to do, because your rights only go as far as the next guy's rights. And when you start destroying property or endangering people on the highway, then you've gone too far.
I agree, and I don't think there are many adults in this community or this county that would disagree with you. But again, you talk to a teenager, and I have, and they'll tell you they do that because there isn't anything else to do. And they'll turn around and say, if you had some center to where they could have music and dance or have other types of programs, and where they could gather and socialize, even some of them say with proper supervision, that there wouldn't be as much of running around in automobiles and parking in automobiles and drinking. Now, I don't know whether that's correct or not. I'm gather that you have your doubts about that, Mayor, and frankly, I have my doubts about it too. But again, that does come from them, insofar as I can tell by talking to some of them. And I don't know what the answer is. Judge, you got any ideas about this?
Well, we don't need to, we need to have opportunities available for our youth. But the question that arises, I mean, we have things that youth can do. They can attend a cinema. They can go to the skating rink, as you mentioned. They have opportunities to, we have a bowling center here in Glasgow that they can use for recreation opportunities. We do have a good park system. We have good leagues, softball, soccer, baseball leagues that children can participate, in which they can participate. But all those things, the next thing is, well, all those things cost money. Well, of course they do. So do we provide the recreation opportunity, or do we give them an opportunity to enter the workforce as either an apprentice or a part-time laborer at maybe a lower than minimum wage, at a training level wage, to let them earn the money that they need to participate in these recreation opportunities that are a little more expensive than just free. We have to begin to prioritize. I don't have answers for those questions, but I think that they are things that are worthy of study and worthy of consideration. But we need input from the children, not just to say, if we had a place, even if it were supervised, then we would participate. Well, we have those places that are supervised. They do cost a little money, but if we're serious about going, it costs money to put gas in a car and drive it around town on Friday night. So we can take it and park it at the skating rink and participate there, and instead of spend $5 on gas, spend $5 to go into the skating rink, or $5 to go into the bowling center, or whatever else. It's a matter of how do we prioritize, or how do we talk to our youth and ask them to prioritize and make choices of what to do with their limited resources.
Well, maybe part of the solution, and maybe you've touched on a subject there, maybe part of the solution is somehow or other making some contact with them and listening to them sometimes. And that's another complaint that I have heard from younger people when I talk to them. Nobody will listen to us. And I even hear that from them insofar as their parents are concerned, that their parents won't even listen to them.
Mr. Barrickman, let me recall some experiences too that I believe after that experience with the parking lot up there that didn't work out, we tried having a disc jockey teenage dance on the square, which we roped off one side of the square.
I remember that.
That didn't work out either.
That didn't work either.
There were fights, there was knifings, we had police, auxiliary police up there, but you can't sit around and hold people's hand. If they did, they wouldn't want to be there.
That's right.
If you were going to hold their hands. But it's very, very difficult to police or patrol or chaperone something like that. We also, for a while, let people park in American Legion Park. We opened that up in the evening, put trash barrels out for them to throw their Coke cans and so forth in. And then when morning came, we had to spend a lot of money getting the bottles out of the swimming pool that they threw in there. It's very difficult to deal with people who won't take responsibility for their own behavior.
And the bottom line probably is the fact that the parents haven't controlled them from the start and haven't disciplined them at home, and you cannot start discipline and start disciplining people when they're teenagers, in my judgment.
I want to make,
whatever that's worth, and it probably isn't worth much. Go ahead, Judge.
Let me make one additional comment. We have in our community as fine a group of citizens and parents and teenagers as I think you can find anywhere in the state of Kentucky, anywhere in the United States as far as that's concerned. I'm right prejudiced when it comes to my hometown. And I think that the very vast majority of our young people really want to have an opportunity to interact among themselves in a wholesome and clean way. When I was in college, and even before college, I had an opportunity to attend some seminars, and some folks told us at that time, when I was a teenager, when I was 15 and 16 years old, that one of the things that you could do, and they were talking at that time about how to limit the abuse of drugs, using illegal drugs, that you dropped a dime on your friend and that helped them. Well, kids tell us that we don't want to listen to them. Well, the children themselves know who the folks are that are quote troublemakers, end quote, or rabble rousers, or the folks that cause the many to suffer for the actions of the few. And the kids need to drop a dime. I mean, that's part of the responsibility that the mayor mentioned earlier. If we make these programs available, or if we have a center or a parking lot or someplace for our teenagers to go and to interact among themselves, then more than just keeping the place clean and free of beer bottles and trash and cans and this sort of thing, there's more to it than that. You have to let the authorities know who those troublemakers are and when the trouble happens and who caused it, and not be ashamed. You're not ratting on a friend by doing that. The thing that you're doing is taking responsibility for your part of the action, and by letting us know, or letting the authorities know, where the problems lie. And I can assure you that I would listen, and I think that the mayor and the people that work in the city government would also listen, because we don't want the many to suffer for the actions of the few. That's not the way it should be. We need to know where the problems lie and how to solve those. And if the problems lie with one or two or three members of the youth community, then those other 97 children out there should be able to go ahead and participate at the level without fear of losing their opportunity because of the actions of 3 or 4 rebels, if you will, to put it mildly.
Judge, let's talk about the administrative building.
Okay.
That the county has already bought the building and contemplating putting offices in on the north side of the square.
Well, as everyone knows, Glasgow is the county seat of Barron County. As such, it's the seat of county government. It's the place where every citizen of the community, every citizen of Barron County can come and does come on numerous occasions to transact their business. We have, as every local government seems to have over the past few years, we have a dire need of additional space. We have court facilities in the present building that we operate in the center of the county seats square that are just not adequate for the caseload that we have. The court became aware of an opportunity to purchase the property that's known throughout the county as the Newberry's property. The court acted on that opportunity, bought the buildings, put a new roof on them to prevent any further damage to the interior of those buildings, and at the present time has contracted with an architect to do some structural studies of the building to determine exactly what sort of county offices or court facilities might be moved to that annex or auxiliary building across the street from the main entrance to the Barron County Courthouse. We anticipate within the next 2 or 3 weeks having a report and recommendations for the fiscal court to consider on what offices should be moved into that annex. Initially, we had planned to move the Barron District Court and the functions of the Circuit Court Clerk's office, including the District Court Clerk's office, into that facility, and to use that for a court annex or a district court building. Subsequent to those initial discussions, we began to look at moving non-judicial functions out of the courthouse in the center of the square and using the Newberry's property as a county government annex. Much will depend, or the final decision will be made based upon the structural integrity of the building, the best way to utilize the space that exists in the present courthouse and the space that can be made available in the Newberry's property. Hopefully we'll have answers to some of those questions in the next few weeks, but we do look forward with a good deal of anticipation to an expansion of the county's governmental offices. hopefully we'll be able to reach a decision and begin to prioritize the projects weighing the need for a juvenile center, also the need for additional courtroom space or space for county government functions, and make decisions based upon complete information at some time in the future.
We always have problems in regard to roads, bridges, and stop signs, and things of that nature, and I know that there are some that are being talked about in the county and the city. So rather than me enumerating each one of them, suppose the two of you give us an update on there have been requests for stop signs, I know, at various places. We need a bridge across the creek down here. What are the efforts that are being made, and what progress is being made in regard to these problems? Mayor, we'll start with you.
Well, let's speak of the bridge a little bit, which we're both actively concerned with, and we're both very much in support of the new bridge into Barron County High School across Trojan Trail there. It's a dangerous situation the way it is. Right now we're at the point we have a $215,000 grant from the State Transportation Department to help us with this, which they estimate will leave us around $50,000 to be taken care of locally, and the fiscal court and the city council have agreed to split that $50,000 additional money at $25,000 apiece, which will pay for that new bridge into Trojan Trail, which will be a great deal higher, which will keep it up out of the water, we hope, and safer in a little different location, take some of the curve out of it, out of the exit off of that bridge. So it'll be a much better situation. We have already contracted with an engineering firm, and they are drawing plans and doing survey work at the present time. When they finish that, then they will advertise for bids for the construction project. And that's where we are on that. I've personally had a lot of requests for additional lights and turning lanes and things like that. Most of these are off of state highways, and of course city cannot alter state highways and cannot install traffic lights. I have contacted our district highway engineer, Larry Ferguson, by letter. I've enumerated some of these requests, including a turn lane off of Highway 90 onto Long Hunters, a stoplight at Beaver Trail and Highway 90, close to the bridge there where there's been several accidents. I've asked for a stoplight at South Fork Road, I guess it is, off of 31E bypass going out south, and I've asked for a stoplight there, and I've asked for repainting of some arrows and lane markings in different places. In all, I asked for about 5 or 6 projects, but all of this has to be done with a traffic survey, and as late as today I talked with Larry Ferguson again, the state highway engineer, and he has promised me there will be a survey done in the city on these projects, and they have to do a traffic study, a traffic count, and if the count and their study by their safety engineers justify these changes, then he will recommend they be done. There are a few that the city would have to be responsible for if they're not on state highways. There are some speed limits that need to be changed out around Glasgow Middle School and Glasgow High School, especially on Glenview. I think we need some lights that are only on during school hours, dropping the traffic to 25. There's a lot of traffic on Glenview, and right now practically the whole length of Glenview is 25 miles an hour, and that's probably wrong. That probably should be 35, except during school hours and then closer to the intersection of Dexter and closer to those schools. Those projects we have underway. I also have a lot of complaints about holes in the road, potholes, but they can't be done until the asphalt plants open, and they're not open yet.
Is the three-laning of West Main Street a dead issue?
At the present time, I'd say it's a dead issue. The reason being that several businesses out there got together a petition and circulated around with other businesses along there and came before the council objecting to that. We've had a few requests to do that and a suggestion by the State Highway Department that that would help expedite flow of traffic. But at the present time, with the objections to it, I'd say it's a dead issue unless a lot more citizens come in and start asking for it.
Judge, have you got similar problems in the county, and if so, what is being done to address them? Briefly.
We have very similar problems, Mr. Barrickman. It is a pleasure to be working with the city on the Trojan Trail Bridge project. It's nice to have a problem and recognize the problem and then have the entire community get together to work to solve the problem. And I think that's what we've been able to see with regard to that project. The mayor, Representative Nunn, Mr. Cecil Barton, the county government have all worked together along with City Council to provide funding and hopefully we'll be able to see that project to a successful conclusion here in the next few months. In addition to that, you mentioned signage earlier. Barron County, to my knowledge, is the first county in the state of Kentucky to complete a signage survey throughout the county, working with the transportation cabinet, county government, the county road department supervisor Danny Reed and his assistant Jim Boyder. We've identified certain signage needs throughout Barron County where we are participants in a grant program from the transportation cabinet to provide to the county at no cost a complete signage inventory for Barron County's road system. The responsibility that we have will be to maintain that system. The transportation cabinet will grant to us the funds to purchase those signs. Then it's our responsibility to place those throughout the county to make our county road system a little bit safer for our citizens. In addition to that, there's been a good deal of talk and conversation about replacing a bridge over Skaggs Creek on the Oil Well Road. One of the things that I'd like to see the county consider in the next few years is a step-by-step process or an installment plan, if you will, to provide a loop around the southeast side of Glasgow in Barron County, anywhere from 3 to 5 miles out of town, that would provide a little bit easier access for county citizens between the US 31E, Roseville Road, Burkesville Road areas, New Salem Road area, so that we might complete a circle around Glasgow. I think that's a legitimate county project. I think it's one that we can accomplish over the next 3 or 4 years. And I think it's worthwhile for the fiscal court to look at and to consider that particular project.
May I just remark on that too? Of course, the state has also been petitioned about that, about a circle bypass. Right. And my understanding is that the state is doing an engineering survey on that, at least part of that project at the present time, to complete a circle bypass. That's not to say the state's going to fund it and start building it tomorrow, but at least they are doing an engineering survey to see what would be required.
Our particular idea on that is to use existing roads where we can, and then straighten some roads that are there are things that we can do without depending upon the powers above to do their surveys and do their work, and then 6 years from now tell us that, well, it's going to be on the 6-year plan, and then 6 years subsequent to that take it off and then have to go back and forth. So there are things that we can accomplish at the local level if we'll just begin to envision the possibilities and to move forward in a positive direction and have a goal that we want to accomplish. And I think that the city, I know, and the cities of Cave City, Park City, and Hiceville, along with Barron Fiscal Court, are working to make our county a better place.
Briefly, Mayor, tell us about the landfill and your latest idea about lengthening the service of it, and any updating that you need to advise the people about as far as recycling, what you're going to do to increase that, things of that nature.
Well, of course, with the new state regulations, it's very, very expensive to operate landfills. but it's also very, very expensive to transport garbage 100 miles or 75 or whatever it happened to be to some other landfill in the distance that we would have no price control over, and could really cost our citizens and our industries a lot of money. Most of our industries and citizens recognize that our landfill is an asset to the community, and we want it to be that. We try to operate it as economically as possible and to keep the cost down for our citizens as much as possible and our industries. Present time we have 85 acres out there that are permitted for a landfill. We have 10 acres that have been built into the new requirements with the double plastic liners, double drain systems, leachate collection tanks, test wells all around it, fully contained so that no leachate can pollute anything, and state of the art. And we're one of the 5, I believe, that's had complete approval by federal and state government at this time. Out of the 35 that exist in the state, 5 have been completely approved at this time. That 10 acres that we have out there, one cell is just about finished, filled, and the other 4 cells that were built into that 10-acre plot, I'd say have about 4.5 years of life left in them before they're filled up. Now we could start building a couple of more cells, maybe a few acres at a time, but now it's going to cost around $300,000 an acre. And if we built 2 more acres, let's say, it would cost about $600,000. And really, to be economical, you need to build more than that at a time. The more you build, the more economical it is to have all that heavy equipment on site. And so we have that choice of building 2 to 4 more acres at $300,000 an acre to prepare and keep ahead of the future, into the future, or we can also have another option, and that is a vertical expansion. If we go 15 feet higher with our solid waste, then we can add another 1.5 years life to our contained landfill that's already built without having to go into that $600,000 to $1,200,000 extra cost. $600,000 is a lot of money. $1,200,000 is even more. And if we can avoid that and still get the same results and have the same safety factor built in, then I think that's the course we should take. So that's what we're applying for. And this would be, these cells would simply go about 15 feet higher. They would be rounded off and have grass sown on them so it would fit in with the topography of our hill country that we live in here. And it would all be sowed in grass and covered up and would look like the other hills we have around here when it's all filled up. But at the same time, it will add 1.5 years life to our landfill and save our citizens a great deal of money.
What about your plans to build a building to collect recyclables until they have accumulated in sufficient quantity to make it economical to sell them?
Well, we've just passed first reading on an ordinance appropriating $49,000 to build a pole-type building about 100 feet by 40 with a concrete floor in it, where we would collect recyclables until we got trailer truckload lots. Right now it's very difficult to deal with small quantities of recyclable material. The only thing we can do is to pay someone to take that off our hands or give it to them, because we can not have a storage place where it can be handled in economical quantities. By building this building, we can store things like newspaper until we have a trailer truckload. Right at the present time, we are paying to have newspaper taken off our hands. We're paying $35 a ton just to keep that out of the landfill because it fills up so much space in that valuable landfill. But if we have a place to store that until we get a trailer truckload, then they will come and pick that up for us and pay us $95 a ton for that newspaper to be hauled and recycled. We'll still have a haul bill, but it will, instead of paying someone $35, we'll be taking in $95. And just something like plastic milk cartons. We'll have a baler and a crusher in this building that will bale and crush plastic milk cartons until we get a large supply of them. It may take a long time, but a ton of plastic milk cartons now recycles for $700 a ton. And right now, of course, we are throwing that away. But if we build this building and can store these until we get a trailer truckload of these quantities of various materials, then we can save our landfill, make it last longer, and make our whole operation more economical.
We have about 4 more minutes, and there's 2 or 3 matters I want to briefly cover. Aside from the solid waste products, are we having any environmental problems to amount to anything in the city, or the county, or both, insofar as air quality is concerned and groundwater?
I think countywide we're in pretty good shape with regard to air quality. We're aware of some problems that exist in the county with regard to open dumping, and by open dumping I don't mean tons of refuse that are just dumped in fields throughout the county. We have a litter problem that we're trying to address by the misdemeanor or the correction center work program that we talked about in fiscal court on March the 15th. With regard to groundwater, I am rather concerned that over the next few months and the next few years that we may begin to see more restrictive regulations with regard to groundwater and groundwater control. One of the things that I have presented to fiscal court for its consideration is the establishment of a countywide sanitary sewer district. Not that we're going to begin to build sewer lines throughout Barron County, but before we can do anything with regard to providing sanitary sewers throughout the county, we have to have the district established. That's the first step that has to be taken. Members of the court have had that information at their disposal for the past few months. We're going to sometime in the next few months ask them to begin to place that on the front burner, to begin to consider the establishment of that sanitary sewer district in the unincorporated areas of Barron County. I think that in the not too distant future can help us as we seek to provide a safer environment and to handle some of the groundwater problems that we could have and could experience here in Barron County over the next few years.
I know by the news media that there are some and have been some monetary problems in the ambulance service. Are those being satisfactorily worked out?
From the county's perspective, once again, we have begun to receive over the past 2 or 3 calendar quarters quarterly reports from the ambulance service. As our viewers are probably aware, for the past 3 years the service has lost in excess of $500,000 annually. For the first 6 months of fiscal year 1995, however, I hope the mayor agrees, are happy to report to the citizens that those losses have dropped by about 50%. We're down to an extended figure would be about $260,000 for the entire fiscal year 1995, which is a dramatic improvement. We have taken steps at the board level in the ambulance service to address the deficit. We have begun a very, very strong effort to do a better job of collecting the ambulance service bills. And I think given the concern of the board members, the concern of the staff and employees at the ambulance service, that over the next few months we can hopefully see even better numbers.
I agree with that. I think that our ambulance service is going to become more efficient. It has become more efficient already, as the judge said, and I think in the future it'll become more efficient. We have talked about some improvements in bookkeeping and bill collecting, and all these are not in place yet, but we are continue to work for those, and hopefully it's going to get a whole lot better.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your being here. We've covered a lot of subjects. Each one of you have been very responsive. It's obvious that each one of you are aware of the problems that are confronting your position, and I want to commend both of you for as well as the council and the fiscal court for the cooperation that is existing now between the two governmental bodies, and that hasn't always been true since I've been a citizen of Barron County. I commend you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you a lot.
Thanks for having us here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.